Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to get started with our first Pearl Portal week 1 reflection. So, this week, the week is really about safety and security, and I think understanding this at a deeper context is imperative. And I think something that I naturally was drawn to wanting to talk about is internal family systems, which is a format of therapy that exists that's super, super powerful and transformative. And it felt like we were really diving into this kind of category as we first began starting reading through The Artist's Way and understanding these kind of parallels in our lives with our creativity and how we understand ourselves, how we understand our creative voice, our inner critic. Doing these studies where we're writing about how we are impacted by the people in our lives and the things they've said, and also the positive influence on that same trajectory. And I think something else that I thought was important to illustrate or like bring into the conversation was, thinking about safety and security and these lines coming in, and how so frequently, I spoke with my therapist about this because my most recent therapy session was really about um, these kinds of topics of, coming out and expressing a different kind of creative persona and what comes attached to that for me, which was really a fear of being seen. What does a fear of being seen actually even mean? A fear of being critiqued. This idea that in smaller communities, like if we were in a village and one of us said, "Hey, I want to be an artist," the villagers would ask, "Well, why should we feed you? Like, why should we take care of you as an individual?" And I think that whole idea really got my mind going in terms of, okay, what are my focuses here, and like what am I trying to say, what am I trying to do? I'm not going to be sharing anything from my morning pages. I think something else that was really interesting for me to realize with this work is that morning pages are very much something that should just be like released. You can read over them. It is okay to read over them. There's like no problem with that. It's more just a reflection of these are things that I am expelling in order for the creative and the internal creative voice to be able to flow outward and to feel comfortable in its expression. And I think it was really funny for me to notice that most of the things in my morning pages the first couple of days were like annoyance, frustration, disappointment, sadness, all these big feelings that were coming up for me that I was able to really express and put out before I moved on through my day. Morning pages, I don't think they are essentially like, it isn't essential for them to be done in the morning, but I think it does have a lot more of a powerful impact when you do take the time to put it out before you begin. I was gifted this beautiful Apartmento notebook for my birthday, which was the day before the equinox this year. And I put my studies in here, and I thought I would share certain pieces from them. I was reflecting a lot just in my drive just now with all the astrological changes that we're currently going through, the fact that it's spring. We've gone through like this intense kind of deep dive through the winter. I know that so many people were going through very difficult and, out of control situations, like really being pushed to the brink of feeling like maybe it's me, maybe I'm the problem. Why are all these things happening to me? I know a few people who have been feeling just like this wave of darkness of not really knowing what the future is holding. And I'm going to be sharing a link in the newsletter here, the Moon Letter, that was shared by one of the individuals within our cohort, Naomi, and it's basically kind of looking at the impact of all this astrological change that's currently happening and how it's kind of entering us into this new wave of like a divine feminine energy. Now, I just want to be really clear, like divine feminine energy, I think there's a divine masculine and a divine feminine. I do believe that, we have really suppressed the idea that God is female for so long, and I really feel like we're in a position now to really recognize that she is very much our goddess, whatever you want to call her. But naturally there's still a heavenly father. I think there's these two kind of archetypal energies that make up all of the energy that's in the universe. And as long as one is overbearing the other, there's going to be imbalance. And the thing that I was really thinking about was, this quote, and I don't know who it is. It feels like such a famous quote. But when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. Very simple, very basic, but also talking to a friend about, there's so much negativity. And I read something this week that was like, we all believe that the world rests on negativity, but it has just as much opportunity to rest on good. There's so much potential for good. There's so much potential for love. And I think the power of love is something really powerful. And I think that's kind of what we're coming into, I think creativity, when you're expressing, when you're making things, you are connecting to a universal life force, which is love, or whatever you want to call it, right? And that's what happens when you are totally in this fluid stream of energy where you're doing something, you're writing, you're painting, you're making something, and you lose track of time. I think that's when you're truly convening with God. To me, that is a form of prayer. And there's so many different forms of prayer. I think sex can also be a form of prayer. Like, I will argue that to the day that I die. It's whatever you can lose yourself in. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think it's kind of interesting to reframe our minds around these terms like God and love and power and sex and what have you, into really looking at it from an energetic kind of standpoint in what is working for you and what you're working towards versus what you just want to let go and release. Because, yeah, I mean, does it need an explanation? We're really just trying to get into this place. Like, I've just really been feeling the last few weeks, I've been feeling stress. I've been feeling overwhelmed. There's been a lot of, house things that have been coming up. We've been on and off with and without a toilet for the last 2 weeks, like going back and forth as our floors are finished. But, when it comes to my life and the way that it's flowing and the way that it's moving, I can really see how things are coming into alignment. And I'm getting so much feedback of people saying, wow, you seem so much in alignment, or receiving compliments that are really hitting like core wounds that I have been addressing, but we're doing a lot of that work through this workshop. Pearl Portal is really a space for us to dive deep, go inward, and really recognize the disturbance in the shell that is making the pearl, right? And the pearl is your creative spirit. It is who you are in this world. It's the reason you're here, the importance of you being here, and what makes you matter. I think everybody has a purpose, and we're so disconnected from our purpose, and I think that's why a lot of us feel lost. But us doing this workshop together is to like find this essential morsel within ourselves that makes us who we are. So I'm going to share a little bit about recovering safety, some of the things I wrote and what I reflected on. I really love the kind of comment section like area that people are kind of embarking on below. Like, if you feel safe sharing, comfortable sharing, below some of the things that are coming up for you, I would not be surprised if there's parallels with other people for which you can connect. This is going to go live on YouTube as well, just as a little taster for people to understand what we're working on. But the comment section on the Substack is for the subscribers. So I would say if you're not feeling totally comfortable sharing on YouTube, feel free to share within our little Substack group. Okay, so week 1. So one of the studies was doing morning pages every day. If you didn't do morning pages every day, don't worry about it. I really think that morning pages, like the more you do them, the better you'll feel. It is up to you, your ability to commit to them. I did 6 out of 7 days this week. I felt really good the days that I did. I was really tired and hungover from a party that we hosted. The one day I didn't, I barely had energy to like be with myself, and there were so many people around. So take it with a grain of salt. My 3 little pigs, as I affectionately termed them, was not enough money. This idea that I don't have enough money to be creative or be an artist, that I need like excessive amounts in order to create, which is so clearly untrue. Not enough beauty, that I am not beautiful enough, that I don't give out this like beautiful, sexy, universal energy that people are attracted to in artists, that like I don't have that, therefore I cannot make art. Not enough originality, this idea that maybe because I could be perceived as basic or having vanilla taste, that I can't make art because my voice isn't valuable. So these are 3 things that I wrote down that I felt was categorically the reason why I've withheld myself from making art. And now it's just crazy because this week I painted a painting for my brother, and I've had so many affirmations from people, which I will talk about, which made me feel really seen as an artist and that I could actually pursue art. And I really feel like that is tied to the work that we are doing in Pearl Portal and having these kind of synchronistic reflections of like what's coming back. Again, comment below if you've had any of these. I'm so curious. I think synchronicities are such beautiful glimmers from the universe that you're on the right track, and sharing anything positive that's happened to you in the last week is such a beautiful gift to everyone around you. If somebody receives it and takes it personally, it is just a reflection of where they are at in their world, and that they want something that you have, and that like I honestly think envy is such a gift because it is such a desire map. We can really look at the things that we envy in other people as things that our heart is secretly asking us for. Okay, so my unearthing what's buried. I'm like very happy to share these because I think it's quite funny. I'm just gonna fix my headband here because I've worn it all day. So this past weekend, I had a big house party for my birthday, and it was so much fun. 10 out of 10 experience. I rented an Airbnb for my friends. They all stayed there. They had a really comfortable time. I usually get really overwhelmed hosting because I'm a very sensitive person, but because I did this, I did still have a cry and a little meltdown. It probably lasted for 10 minutes, which is significantly less than in the past. Let's just say that. But it actually was such an amazing experience, and everybody had such a good time, and that felt so deeply fulfilling to me. I love to host. But while I was hosting, we went to a flea market in the small town that I'm from, and I ran into an art teacher from my middle school who said, "I remember you. You are," it said my full name, but wrong. And then I said, "Yeah, but you got it wrong." And she said, "Well, I did that just to bug you," which is so random. And also just like I was 12 or 13, like I was a child. So just a weird little thing of like, of all the people that I could running into her. And basically I wrote about that. I was just saying, and basically what I just explained, and it brought me back to a feeling of being unseen at that age and really desiring recognition as a creative artist. Like I wanted to be seen so badly at that time. I wanted somebody to see me. I had, not a lot of adult figures who were taking a lot of time to really notice me and feel into what I was saying. I remember her being rather tough on me and strongly disliking her. I just feel like that mirror in the room, the judgment, the lack of empathy for a very lost and lonely girl. So sad. Yeah, there was like this gigantic mirror. It was like a home ec class and an art class. Very strange. I have a lot of trauma with my art teachers, these two that I am specifically talking about. The letter to my harsh critic. To the harsh critic of my wounded child self, it's taken me a long time to write you this letter, and I'm glad to finally have the opportunity. The young parts you have deemed imperfect were merely a projection of an idea of